guys, it's Rebecca Oberstadt. In today's video, I'm going to be making a custom order, or I'm going to be doing my part of the custom order. The owner of Nomad Cosmetics, her name is Felicia, and she is an amazing person. Doesn't wear a whole lot of jewelry, but she was looking for something specific. So she messaged me, asked if I could make something for her, or my father and I could make something for her. We talked materials, we talked prices, we talked design, things like that. So I found a material that was cost effective or cost efficient. And I found something that would work within her price range and is not only a beautiful chain design, which I will try and stick a picture of it up here, but I think that this will work well, and due to the coloring of it, it'll look good on just about everything she owns. I'm doing the first half of it, and then all of the hot stuff will be done by my father. I'm going to be working with this 1.7 millimeter. This is a rounded box link chain. Let's see if I can zoom this in. And of course my battery's flashing. This is a beautiful chain. This is made out of bronze, and it is a 20-foot spool. So I'm going to be doing a multi-strand necklace. I'm going to show you how I measure things, how I cut them out, and then I'm going to walk you through the design process of what I designed for her necklace so that it will lay the way that she would like it to lay, which means I need to grab a piece of paper and something more than my pink colored pencil out here. I will walk you through the beginning stages of what we talked about. I will even include a picture on the screen of what she sent me, of what she was looking for, and why she wanted something that specific towards the end after I get all the measuring and stuff done. This is going to be kind of technical. I'm going to try and break it down into layman's terms. I am not the jeweler. My father is the jeweler. He is a metalsmith. He has worked, he went through school for it. That was his midlife crisis at, like 45, was to put himself through jewelry school. And he learned how to work with various metal types and to make jewelry, set gems, all that kind of stuff. I do not have that training. I used to work at a bead store when I was working at a hair salon during the day, and I was working at the bead store in the afternoons and on the weekends. So I'm a beader. So I'm the one that works with the natural materials. I know how to string things. I make those pretty little, natural stone dangly earrings. I can do wire wrap, minor things like, my dad doesn't do a whole lot of jewelry work anymore. He's been super busy at work. He is a mechanical and an electrical engineer. My dad is educated. He worked with computers when I was a kid. So my dad has a wide variety of information of his background and some of the things that he works with. We use a oxygen acetylene setup. So when we get into the actual workshop, like this is my jewelry workshop area. This is attached to the house. And then we have a separate building that is like 2,000 square feet that's separate from the house that is at the back of our property that we use for all of the hot stuff. Dad's afraid of letting me use the torches because he's afraid I will burn the house down. How I would burn the house down, 100 yards away from the building, I don't know. But I have done some really crazy things in my life. And so I wouldn't be surprised if I was able to. So Dad doesn't let me do the hot stuff. And he does not have the patience to teach me. He's the kind of person that he will show you once how to do it. He doesn't really explain what he's doing. He shows you, kind of half-assed, talks you through what he's doing, and then he does it, and then you're supposed to learn from that. And if you have questions after, he gets all huffy about it and upset and stuff. So if you don't pick it up the first time, my dad really isn't willing to show you how to do it the second time. How he ever taught bagpipe at Stetson College, I have no idea. My dad was a music teacher at Presser Hall at Stetson for a number of years when I was a child. He taught bagpipe for like 8 or 9 years. A little short German guy playing a Scottish bagpipe. Actually, it's a Highland pipe. I don't know how he had the patience to do that, because he's the kind of person that he shows you once, and if you don't have it, then you're screwed. So a lot of this stuff, I'm one of those kind of people that I sit and I watch. I'm pretty overall, when it comes to my learning style, I'm like 33% on everything, whether it's visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. Kinesthetic means the hands-on approach. So I learn a lot by listening, watching what's going on, and my brain kind of just figures out what's missing in between. That's how I learned how to drive a stick shift car. So, you know, there's a lot of techniques that go into some of the metal crafting that I do not know the specifics of. Like Dad knows the melting points of most of these metals by heart. I don't. I have to use a book. I'm sure if I went through school for it, I would be more well versed in the aspect of metalsmithing, but I did not, and they do not have a school here local anymore for me to attend. So even though I would love to go, I would have to go to either to Texas or to Arizona to take classes. So I'm going to change the battery out on my camera. I'm going to change the aspect. I do have my phone out here with me. I'm going to be recording a different angle with my phone. So I'm going to try and do like a split screen thing where you can see like over my shoulder as well as pointing down. At least my phone doesn't weigh as much as the Canon does, and I don't have to worry about it toppling over. So hopefully this is informative. I'm also making this video for Felicia so that she can see how we made her necklace, the thought process that I had behind making the necklace, the design that I gave my dad, which I don't know what he did with. Oh, it's in my bag. I have a little slip of paper in here, but I will draw it on something bigger. I am not an artist. I make stick people look really sad. So, you know, there's that. But I try. I paint better than I draw. I'm definitely no artist, and please do not give me accolades for artistry when I know personally I do not have them. So gushing over how well I do something is kind of a turn off to me. It's like really? Did you not look at what I did? Because that's not good. And I don't know how you thought that was good, because it ain't good. So I'm okay at drawing. I'm not the kind of person that makes a mistake and erases it and then goes back. I'm just kind of the I'll draw back over it kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I know this is really long, but I wanted to explain some of the process first. I will try and remember to leave timestamps down below so that you can get into watching, you know, explanation versus measuring versus cutting versus, you know, all the other stuff. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is going to be a long one because I am going to be including the hot stuff after I will be recording that process tomorrow. I'm recording this on a Friday. And so I have to wait till my dad's free on the weekends. Last weekend we didn't get to it because I was not feeling well. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Let me know your thoughts down below. And yeah, if you have questions, feel free to ask. I might not have the answers, but I can always ask my dad and, you know, get back with you. So yeah, you'll see me at the very end. All right, so first off, I'm going to talk about measurements. Move the tape. She wanted it to be right about waist length, and I know I'm a little too tall for this, but because I'm taller than her, I had her measure from the top of her shoulder down to her belly button, which is about where she wants this to hang, which she came up with 17 inches. Now, this is my grandmother's like sewing tape thing. I've had this thing for ages. She died when I was 5, so this is very old. It's actually older than I am. The other thing that I took into consideration when doing this necklace length was the width of a neck. So on average, from like where your neck muscle is here, I measured from there to there, and I got roughly 5 inches. Now you think 17 and 17 and 5, you end up with like 39 inches. So that's what we're going to be working with. I'm going to go ahead and tape this down onto my workstation so that I know I have 39 inches already measured out. Small piece of tape here. I'm gonna move my papier. Tape doesn't want to stick to my desk. A friend of mine gave me this tape like years ago. I don't know what it's from, but we're going to use it since it's here and the other tape I need is over there. And it didn't peel properly. Measuring tape just got caught up in my sewing machine, which is under the station. got a couple of different nippers out. This one cuts straight across at the top, and this one cuts as the aside and has a slight angled pitch to it. So for the chain, again, like I said, she needs 39 inches. Just to give you an idea of how long that is. This is 39 inches. My belly button's down here. So she is, she's got either a normal to a short torso. I have a very long torso. So it's right about the length of my cowl neck doohickeys is what we're looking at lengthwise. Now I'm gonna redirect the camera so I can show you what we're gonna be working on. All right, so what we need is a necklace that is a big U shape. You figure you've got a person, right? The necklace is going to like drape down onto her neck, and it's going to have several like layers to it. The problem with doing a necklace that is going to have, you know, multiple layers to it, if you look, I drew this line and it's not even like straight. They don't match up, one's shorter than the other. So when you're doing a layering type necklace, you need to remember that you have a flat base. Well, technically it's a little bit curved, but your neck is going to be that flat place. So in order to put the necklace on a flat surface, you need to make sure that they all measure up to be about the same as they hang. So if I cut them all 39 inches long, they're not going to be the right length. So the first one needs to be 39 inches long, right? In order to lay flat, which is going to be the first one. What I have designed for my dad is a flat piece that this chain is going to be, you know, we're going to set it on and then solder it down so they don't move. But I have also made it so that it's rounded on either end, because this is 1.7 millimeters. I told my dad I want this 2 millimeters in depth. So this is going to be 2 millimeters here. The chain itself is 1.7 millimeters. When working with jewelry, you work with like British measurements, even though unfortunately I'm American. So when doing this, I want this piece to cup around the chain so that number one, the chain doesn't snag and break off of the piece that we're building for this to sit in. Kind of like, think of it as like a necklace canoe. Okay, we're going to make this snug. So as you layer the pieces, you don't want them to separate out. And I think I'm going to do 5 layers because, you know, I said 4 would be pretty, but I think I like the look of 5 better. So if you look, as I move the chain, it does flex and it moves, and they have a tendency to separate out. With having a flat piece that these will sit on, these will lay a little bit more flat instead of like some chain, they have a tendency to like do this and bunch up on top of each other. And I want to avoid that. I want this chain to lay completely flat. So in order to do that, we need something for this to sit on. And then I'm going to have my dad use a bezel pusher, because this is, you know, the material that this is made out of. It should be easy enough to do it. And you can't heat it too much because the melting point of this metal is very low. I mean, not low enough to like melt in your like stove. Well, actually, if your oven gets up to a 500, you could do some serious damage to your necklace if you put your necklace in your oven. But I want this to be rounded on the edges so it doesn't catch on things, it doesn't scrape, doesn't scratch, that kind of thing. I want it to be flat against the skin. So I have designed something for my dad that is going to be 6 millimeters in width. Now, to give you an idea of what 6 millimeters looks like, let me find something I've got over here that's 6. I don't even think I have anything over here 6 millimeters. This is 6 millimeters wide, just judging by my eyeballs, because this is a 6 millimeter round bead. So it's going to be this width, and it's going to be right about that length. That's a piece of jade. So let's use this as an example. I'm going to leave it on the dark so you can see it. So we're doing 5 layers, right? So more or less the piece is going to do this. It's going to keep it flat, and hopefully one of the two cameras is picking this up. And then the edges, as you see that there's a little bit of space left over on either side, there's a good 2 millimeter distance here. What I want to do is take something like this, that's about 1/4 of an inch wide, and I want to curl these edges so that it hugs the chain on either side, so that you don't have to worry about it, you know, sliding or falling off or getting damaged or snagging. So this is actually a really good judge of length. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of trace this bad boy, because you know I can't even draw straight lines. So this is basically the size that we're looking at here. Again, I don't know if this camera's picking it up. Camera's having a hard time focusing. So this little piece of new jade is right about the size that I need in order to make this like curved piece for the chain to sit on. I will have to get my calipers through inside to measure the width of this, but again, it's going to be 6 millimeters in width so that the chain has something to hang on to. So let's get into the real measurements. So keeping in mind that the first one has to be 39 inches, I'm going to go ahead and measure that out. And then holding it with my fingernail just a little bit before where I need to cut, I'm going to take my angled little chompy guys and I'm going to come one segment past that. Now, I put my hand over it because you don't want metal shards flying, and I'm not wearing my glasses. And because this is a box chain, I damaged this piece here. So, what I intended to do actually, I'm going to go ahead and grab this and see if I can work it out. And it's in there pretty good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave that. This end is closed. Yeah, that end's closed. So I'm going to leave this for my guy. So this is the first measurement that we need. The next one needs to be a little bit longer, and I'm going to drape this over my neck right now, just so I have an idea. Oh, it's the beads in the tray. I was like, what the hell is moving out here? All right, I'm going to measure the 39 inches, and I'm going to put my fingernail at it so that I know where the 39 is. Now, you're not going to be able to see this, but I think this needs to be a hair longer. I've got it flat against my neck. Oh, and that made it shorter. Okay, now we're almost perfect. So then I'm going to come just past where I had cut the last one, go an extra link, dragging the whole chain off the desk. So the next piece is just a little bit longer than the first one. Now to measure out the third piece. Again, we're probably going to need this just a hair longer. Trying to make sure I lay them out on my neck perfectly straight. So there's 3. Depending on how much of this I have left, I might make a bracelet as well. All right, now to measure number 4. Make sure everybody's laying flat. I don't know if either of these will fit, but I had an idea. Because each of these have a loop at the end, I want to be able to try and like keep them from getting longer or shorter, and that's definitely too big. Even that's too big. What the hell? Man, am I gonna have to get out my tiny stuff? And we have a winner. Just want something to keep them all even. And to cheat, I'm going to use an earring back. Alright, that worked. Alright, so now I know that they're all the same length on this side, and I can make sure that they're laying flat on my neck. As you see that there are different lengths. Oh. All right, there you go. Now you can see the different lengths. There's 3 different lengths. They're just a hair longer than the next one. So let's do that again. We need number 4 here. You know, sometimes you need like 2 extra hands. Extra arms would be nice too. All right, so we have our base measurement. I'm going to go ahead and pull this. It doesn't seem right. Okay, I wasn't as far off as I thought. So I'm going to go up 2 and cut it. So now we have 4 strands. I think I need another one of those on the inside, so I'm going to redo this really quick because this is long, but I needed it for the size. So I'm going to put this bad boy here. Dig another one out. Get these all put back on it. I bit the hell out of this wire. Okay, now I'm straight. Well, I'm not, but you know, the chain is. This is what we have so far. This is 4 strands, and I think this is absolutely gorgeous. And it's like this rosy gold color, even though it's definitely not rose or gold. So using this as our guide, I'm going to make sure that I keep this as flat as I can. And put it around my neck again. Making sure again that we are as straight, again, not me, the chain, as possible. And as you can see, there are a little bit of differences between the inner chain being shorter and the outer chain being a little bit longer. These will all be straightened up anyways because I want the chain all one length. So we have 1 more to do. This should be enough. All right, chain number 5 coming. All right, so we got 39 inches. I'm gonna cheat, put this on first. To get on there. Because this is a box chain and they're like interlinked, it wants to like fold back in on itself. Hey, pocket. Wait a minute, where'd your thingy go? Did it fall off? Crap. I just lost the ear back. Good thing I got plenty. All right, something's not right here. This chain piece is on the inside when it needs to be on the far outside. There we go. All right. And again, I'm gonna go 2 lengths away and then eat it with my plier thingies. And this is a very soft metal, so it's easy to kind of munch the ends. Okay, so here we have the entire chain. I'll measure it out. And then just to show the difference in the length, they're staggered on purpose because as they lay on the neck, they're not going to stay completely straight until the rest of the work is done. But the reason for using this T-wire on it is to keep them all as straight as possible, because as this hangs, of course it's going to move and it's going to shift, whatnot. But about halfway up, which is where the nape of the neck is, this is going to have a metal plate. Please stay. All right. So we're looking at roughly 40 inches. This ruler goes to 18, and then I need 2 more. So right about here, probably more like here, this is where in this area that the band is going to go. It's going to be a flat piece that is soldered. These are soldered too, and then the edges are going to be curled around it to keep them in place so that as they hang on the neck, these will be free. These will move completely free from their counterparts. But at the nape of her neck, this will be connected so that these chains don't just go every which way. Now, because I have extra chain left, I don't know how much I have. So let's see how much I have. There's 40 right there. So I got 50.5 inches. Now, if I made a multi-strand bracelet out of this, I could do a multi-catch on it. I figure most wrists are about 7.5 inches. All right, I've got enough for at least 6 layers of a bracelet. The idea that I have, I don't know where my brackets are. All right, let me find the right piece before I start talking about it. Okay, so I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for, but that's fine because it's probably something I'm going to have to make. Just as an example, this is a multi-strand necklace here. I wanted to show what the looping was like on it. It's an old sterling silver chain. Basically what it has is it's got a jump ring connected at the base, and then the chain is then soldered or welded onto the loop itself so that the chain is independent from the next piece. This is all tangled up, but that's okay. And this is 2 different types of chain. You have a rope chain here and a cable chain here. And they look to be about the same millimeter, but they're connected by this one single loop. Normally when you do bracelets, they, especially when they're like multi-strand, they have this like type of catch on them. Oh, they're in here. This is what I was talking about. This has 3 different holes in it that you can put things in, and I will get a couple of different ear wires so you can see what I mean by the 3 different holes. Okay, so as an example, you have 3 different strands. This is a 3-strand piece. The bracket is what keeps the strands separate, which is again what that little plate is that I'm going to have Dad build for me. And then you put the other one at the other end. Now granted, as you're wearing the bracelet, they will twist and turn and whatnot, but when you go to put the piece of jewelry on, it should always lay flat so that all of the individual strands can be seen. Now, will they crowd each other? Yes, that's common. But what the bracket does is it keeps them spaced out far enough, and this is about 2 millimeters, 1.5 millimeters in between each hole, so that the ear wires would stay separated, or the chain would stay separated. So what I'm looking at doing, because I have extra chain, this is actually brass. I also have like things like this where it's rounded and that each piece is a little bit longer, which would be similar to the necklace design. I don't think I have anything in here. That's just another catch. But again, this is a necklace extender. It has the 3 loops on it so that, again, you can have 3 different strands and that it's supposed to keep it laying flat. So this is my idea. Because I have extra chain, I could easily do a 7.5 inch. I'll have to have her measure her wrist. But I'm just going to double it up and double it up again. Like I said, I can get 5 out of here. And you see how tiny my wrist is. And just for S&Gs, I'm going to wrap it around so I don't lose it. But more or less, this would be about what it would look like on the wrist. Multiple strands, all flat, and then there would be a bracket probably down here with a closure so that they lay flat as she's wearing it. So it would be a nice accompaniment piece for her necklace. I'm probably going to end up splitting this video into part 1 and part 2, where we do the hot work in another time, because measuring all of this took me a lot longer than I had anticipated. The chain kept running off on me. I didn't think of like this piece until the end, where I used an ear wire to keep them like straight. I guess I could move you guys so you could see me talking. So I will, oh, you're still pointing down. So I will get with Felicia and ask her what her wrist size is. I know mine is super tiny. Just to give you guys an example, let me untape. I mean, people were shocked to find out my ring's finger is a size 4. So my wrist size should not be that shocking to some people. Right at 6 inches. My wrist is 6 inches in diameter. So for most women, the average bracelet size is going to be between 7 and 8.5. I have a tray of silver bracelets here. Let's see the length. So we have 6.5, 6 3/4, 6 3/4, 7, 7, 7, 7 1/4, and these are like bracelets that I made. This one here is herringbone. I think these are out of order because this is a Figaro. Okay, this is an 8. This chain here I made foxtail. This one's an 8. The chainmail one that my dad made is an 8 1/4. These are 8. Both of these at the end are 8 1/2. I love this figure 8 bracelet. It's so pretty, and I have a closure on it that also looks like the number 8. So just to give an example, the majority of women wear between a size 7 and 8.5 for bracelet size. That's common. I know Felicia is tiny, so I don't know what her wrist size is. I also know she doesn't like to wear jewelry. I know she doesn't wear a whole lot of jewelry. But I think because I have so much chain left over, and I've already paid for the materials, and instead of having, 50.5 inches of chain left over for Lord knows what later, I might as well make something else to accompany it with her order, and it'll be, I don't know, I mean, if she wants to give me something for it later, that's fine, but I just figured it would be nice to give her something extra with her order. I'm a big believer in what you do for your business represents who you are as a person. Like, I don't mind doing like business trades and stuff like that. When I asked her, I was kind of shocked that she said yes, but when I asked her for the Cartagena palette, because it was one of the ones I didn't own, she was like, sure. I was like, how about tell me how much you want for it, and I will just take that off the price. I said either that or you can buy the listing on my website for, you know, the set price, and then I can go to your website and buy it. And she's like, well, I don't have to worry about paying shipping and all that kind of stuff. I was like, are you sure? So she mailed me the pallet. She told me how much to take off the order, and I just took the money off the total that she would have paid for the jewelry work. And I don't have a problem doing that as long as, you know, and I trust her. I really like her and her husband as people. They are really amazing people, which again is another reason why I didn't mind doing it. And that's also another reason why I don't mind doing the extra work, doing the extra step, because it shows not only that I care about my customers, but it also shows that I care about my business. Not every small business is just in it for the money. We care about what we do. We love what we do, at least I hope we do, or most people. I love working with jewelry, and I can sit for hours and make jewelry. And I'll get on earrings one day and I'll just make hundreds of pairs of earrings in like a matter of hours. And then I'm like, whoa, where'd the day go? Like one day I sat down and made 125 belly rings, all varying colors and designs, and some of them I even hand painted the charms on. So I really get into work when I'm working on things. I get very focused and dedicated on what I'm working on, which is probably why I didn't want to work on this last weekend, because last weekend was rough for me. My allergies were really bad. I could barely breathe. I was sneezing, and every time I'd sneeze, I'd cough because, you know, PND. And every time I blow my nose, I'd cough, and I had a sinus migraine on Friday, so it was a whole lot. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and end this here. The next part will definitely not be in nice, clean white walls with, you know, clean floors and countertops, because the jewelry workshop is a disaster. It's filthy out there, and every time I try and clean it, I get yelled at because there's metal shavings and stuff on the floor, and my dad's like, no, you can't sweep that out. I'm like, but silver and gold are not magnetic, so you can't, you know. Oh, I have tape up here. I have double stick tape. I didn't realize it. You can't take like something like this, which is a magnet, and run it over the floor to pick up the metal shavings. Now, granted, you can, but what normally he does is he'll sweep all this stuff up and then dump it in water and then filter out the metal shavings that way. But again, you can't really mix silver and gold because the melting point is different for each. And when you have gold and silver like combined, it can cause a caustic reaction. So you don't want to mix metals, especially when they have different melting points, even though they're very similar. I think silver is like 1980 Fahrenheit. So, but yeah, just some tidbits of information. Here is the necklace cut and ready to go on to the next step. And I'm glad that I found this little piece of jade so that I could measure it. Eyeballing it, I think it's about 15 millimeters wide for the diagram that I drew. I mean, I probably could have drawn it bigger, but I wanted to keep this as close to true to size as possible. And I think if I lay this down on the paper, there's about 3 millimeters on either side, so that it should be a little shorter than this block itself. Actually, the necklace chain, if I can get it to stop falling off the side, is almost exactly the width of this little piece of jade. So that'll be handy information to have to give my dad, because I will just put the little block in the bag. I'm going to talk to Felicia about the bracelet idea. Again, I know she doesn't do jewelry, so I want to get her go ahead to make it, because if dad's going to be making the one piece, I have enough material left over to make the bracelet and enough material to make the piece for the necklace as well as the bracelet. So I want to make sure that I get her okay first before I go and make any modifications. I mean, because it's quite a bit of chain, but I also don't want her to feel like I'm going to be charging her anything extra for the extra work. So that's the other thing. You always want to try and keep open and clear communication with your customers when you're working with them, so that not only they know where you are in the step of the process, but they also can understand the thought process behind it, the design work that goes into it, and all the hours that also go into the setup, the design, the actual work itself, the cleanup, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of work that goes into jewelry work, and all of this will be hand polished by me when it's all finished, before I even box it up to ship it out. So anyways, I'm Rebecca Oberstadt. Hopefully this is helpful. I know it's rather lengthy and I've blathered on about a lot of stuff. Hopefully I got good enough angles from the two directions that I was filming that I have an angle that I can use. I'm going to try and zoom this in an editing as I'm working on the rather small stuff, because I mean, again, it's less than 2 millimeters. So that's very tiny. I do wear glasses for distance. I do have, they're down here. have these things that you're supposed to wear when you're doing jewelry work. It's a magnifier. As you can see, it's brand new, still in the plastic. I have never used them. It's got a visor on it. It's got like bifocal things, and it's got a little piece that flips down. Some of these even come with little lights on them. I didn't buy the one with the lights. But yeah, this is something that jewelers wear so that they can see up close. I'm really good at seeing things up close. I don't have any problems with that. It's distance that I have an issue with. So yeah, anyways, I will see you guys later. This is going to be part 1. Part 2 will be out in the other building, and hopefully there will be enough light and stuff there. If not, we'll just have to work with what we're working with out there. Anyways, I will see you guys later. Have a fantastic day or night, wherever you are. Bye. That. When it comes to working with metals, I have done some direct casting. We have a few methods that we use. We have direct clay casting, which is literally red clay, and we use that to make a mold and to pour directly into, from heating the metal to pouring it directly. We also use a lost wax casting method, where we have a piece of wax that gets put into a mold that then it gets put in the kiln burns the wax out, and it leaves an impression inside the mold. We take that out, you know, let it cool, make sure, you know, things look the way that they're supposed to. And then we take the liquid metal that we've, you know, it's usually metal grain that we melt down, and then we pour it into that mold, and then we use an easy cast machine to literally vacuum suck everything into all the little nooks and crannies to make the individual silver pieces. So we have a couple of different processes that we do. We also do like table engraving, where we have this big table that basically takes something this big and can make it this big by changing the measurements on it. My dad does some hand engraving, but it's so much easier just to use the tabletop. Basically, you put a template down and you follow along the template, and it engraves it on the piece of jewelry. It's super neat looking.